Bienvenidos al episodio 38 de Sin Pelos en el Cactus. El día de hoy tenemos al especialista en obesidad, el doctor Tro Kalayjian. Sí, es en inglés, pero que no cunda el pánico. Los subtítulos están puestos. En este episodio no solamente se habla del punto de vista médico, también se habla del punto de vista del paciente, ya que Dr. Tro fue una persona que llegó a pesar hasta 350 libras. Así que prepárense para una chulada de episodio y aprovecho para decirles compartan con seres queridos para mejorar la salud. Y empezamos.
The reality is our profession hasn't proved that they can even do the job. We have not proven when it comes to chronic disease, diabetes, obesity, that they can even do the job. So when I go to social media, and I know when you go to social media and we're passionate and we attack, some of the orthodoxy in medicine, it's because these fuckers have done nothing. For 70 years, they've just watched as people got fatter, sicker, and more diabetic, more hypertensive. I mean, I remember calling you and you're like, I can't keep doing these catheterizations. It's just a Band-Aid.
Yeah.
Right. And the reality is when they see us curse or they see us say something bad or whatever, it's because we're fed up. We're so tired of seeing people come in and their doctor giving them a script for Repatha, thinking that that's going to solve the fact that the guy smokes, that the guy is depressed, that the guy's drinking, and he's eating cupcakes at night.
Yeah.
Right? It's not going to solve it. So when I'm cursing online, it's because I'm so angry. I'm so angry, and I know you are too. I know you are. You're angry because you know that these fuckers don't care. They're trapped in a system where they have to make, whatever, medical school loan payments, or they have to make, the Corvette monthly bill or whatever, and they stop thinking about how do I help this person in front of me?
I don't think it's not, honestly, I'll break. I don't think it's not that they don't care. I think they gave up. And the reason why I say this is because if you ask me, before I challenged what I was taught, before I was experiencing, I think this is a key factor I've seen in all of my guests. This is episode 38 now. And what I've seen is that everybody has like a tipping point. In your case, it was you weighing 350, but you were doing the things that you were told to do in order to get better. And that shit was not working. For me, it was in 2017 approximately. And I had finished my fellowship, and I remember eating my fucking cereal at night and starving the whole day and the eat less, move more. And I'm like, why on earth am I not losing weight here? And I'm truly, this is not sustainable. So that is when I started questioning and doing, and then again, that's when I started like doing the low carb without me and people in keto or whatever. I think we have to touch that subject again, because I think that the word keto is demonized, and low carb is not necessarily keto. And we also have to make some clarifications there with people. But I lost approximately 25 pounds in a matter of 3 months when I started doing the things that I was not supposed to be doing, and even less as a cardiologist. I think we spoke that when you invited me to your podcast. And the problem is it is challenging to accept this and to go against what you've been taught all this time, to all of a sudden it's like, holy crap. It's like, is it really like this? Can I have such it's your triglycerides. For me as a cardiologist, all the risk factors, they're the metabolic syndrome ones. You improve absolutely everything with lifestyle. So once you start seeing that, that's when I started seeing is like, holy shit. Because I was that doctor that right now you could say, well, this fucker doesn't care I mean, I know that you say it in like in a joking way as well, but some people, they don't care. I agree. And it's important for the people to understand that we've been there as doctors, and you more so. You're weighing 350 pounds. I mean, I guess you felt defeated. It's like, what the hell's going on? So,
well, I wanna stay. I will go there. And look, man, I got time. So if you got time, let's just go into it.
There's usually
I want to
2
start.
hours.
Yeah, before we go into my old story, let's talk about modern medicine for a sec. That's why people are here. They want to know, what is going wrong with modern medicine? Why can't I trust my doctor? Why do I think that they have another agenda? Why can't he just tell me, you want it this way? Why can't he just tell me, if it looks terrible, man, I'm sorry. Why can't the doctor just help me? Right. And there's something when the doctor says something, a lot of my patients, they know something it just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense. And they know it in their heart doesn't make sense. I'll give you an example. I had a patient just this week. He had a high LDL. And, we got a calcium score and it was nominally elevated. And he says, look, doc, I want to know in the next year to 2 years that nothing's going to happen to me. I want to know. I know there's calcium there. He goes, what do you suggest I do? He goes, it's not that I feel any chest pain. It's not that I feel short of breath, but sometimes I get fatigued. Well, what do you recommend? And I said, why don't we do a stress test? Let's do a stress test. So I said, go to the cardiologist and say that, you feel a little fatigue and you have some risk factors and, you want a stress test. And he said, Tro, which stress test would you do? And I said, honestly, you're very low risk, but you have some risk factors. If it was me and I'm not the cardiologist, I said, I would just do a regular old treadmill stress test. You're taking baby aspirin, you're addressing all your risk factors. You exercise, you don't smoke, and he goes to this fucker and the guy's like, you need a nuclear stress test, and, I'm not saying that's wrong. There's very good reasons to do a nuclear stress test. In my mind, his pretest probability is low to medium, and the nuclear stress test is slightly more accurate. So I called the cardiologist up and I'm like, look, I understand you don't want to do a treadmill stress test. He's got a normal EKG. I don't see a reason why you can't do it, but why don't you do a stress echo? Why don't you do it? There's no there's no nuclear material. There's nothing. Like, the guy can run. He runs every day. Do a stress echo. It's not like he's got these big chest where you can't do an echocardiogram on his chest. And you know what he said to me? He goes, that guy is a commercial truck driver. I'm not going to do that. And in fact, if he doesn't do a nuclear stress test, I'm going to call the state and get his license taken away. Wow. And you're not the cardiologist. You're just the primary. So when you say, Christian,
no, I mean, I'll interrupt you there for the people that don't know me here. I mean, I'm a cardiologist. That fucker is an asshole. I mean, that dude is, I don't know. I mean, fuck him. I mean, I cannot believe it. I honestly,
I get this every day. I'm in 48 states. We have over 1,000 patients in the country on remote scales, biometric scales, remote blood pressure monitors, remote continuous glucose monitors, remote glucose monitors and ketone monitors, everybody remotely cared for. We do CACs around the country, Holter monitors around the country, ambulatory blood pressure monitors around the country, sleep studies around the country. We are in 48 states, and I see doctors like this all the time. I had another patient, Christian, this week. He had an NSTEMI, 45 years old. He had a heart attack, for the listeners who don't know. Okay, he had an elevation in his heart enzyme. And they go in and they do a catheterization. First of all, they said it's your diet that caused this. He was type 2 diabetic and he reversed it with a low-carb diet. They go into his coronary And they do the catheterization. First, they did a CCTA, which is a CAT scan of the chest for your listeners. And there's no calcium, no soft plaque on the CCTA. They do a catheterization. There's no plaque. And his heart function is completely fine. So after the words, he says, the cardiologist comes and says, you need a Mediterranean diet. You had a heart attack. And I was in shock. I was in disbelief. He said, it's the cholesterol. The guy's LDL is 110, by the way. And I'm like, I want to see all the records. I look at all the records. Christian, I look at it with my own eyes. Clean coronaries. Clean. The heart vessels are completely fine. I call up the cardiologist. He goes, you know what? Maybe it's stress-induced cardiomyopathy. I said, he's a 45-year-old male. That's insane. It's not a heartbroken syndrome. He's not a 70-year-old, female with a heartbreak. You know what he said to me? He goes, we see this all the time, completely normal coronary. And I know you're thinking vaccine injury, myocarditis, or something like that. We're going to get the platform soon. You want to know what it was? Take a guess. And it wasn't this. It wasn't that.
I mean, common things that I see in this situation, a hypertensive emergency would be causing a type 2 MI.
Didn't do it. No, a good thought. Yeah. I'll give you a hint. The guy has terrible migraines. Terrible, terrible migraines. And he takes medication for it. Sumatriptan. The guy was taking, it causes vasospasm. It's a known cause of reversal. It's like cocaine. It causes vasospasm.
I didn't know that. And I have migraines. You know that. Diet. I did not know that it could cause
sumatriptan. So sumatriptan, one of the side effects. I'm like, guys, there's no coronary disease here. I was like, he doesn't have a viral myocarditis. You guys did the whole panel. These vaccines were 2 years ago, so that's not it. And anyway, I know this is not what you're talk about.
No. It's interesting. It's an interesting point for the listeners because this could be the myocardial infarction with no obstructive coronary atherosclerosis, which is called the MINOCA.
Yeah.
Now, a vasospasm of the microvasculature definitely could do it. So I did not know that. And if he's abusing it or taking it a lot, there's other forms, but
I thought it was done.
Yeah, well, I see that, but you know what? You know what? With the stress-induced cardiomyopathy or the Takotsubo, what I see a lot is this last couple of years, people. I think we're living in an era that people are mentally unstable, but at just ridiculous numbers. So they just went apeshit crazy. Literally apeshit crazy. I joke a lot in Spanish that I say sometimes I see people and I don't know if the mother had sex with a freaking toucan or with a colorful bird because I cannot believe what I'm seeing and I'm not with. If you identify with a dog, no, I'm sorry, that's a mental disease. If you identify that you're a 9-year-old, go to hell. But I think that after COVID, the anxiety, the depression, and the mental issues that people are dealing with, they went up, but they're not dealing with them properly. And once again, where's the problem? And we know from Christopher Palmer and Georgia Eads and other psychiatrists, we can see how lifestyle and diet can affect mental disorders. And 100%. I truly believe that we are in an era, in a moment in time, in which the shit food that they're eating is worse than ever. I don't know if you saw the other day, there was in the news, the CEO of Kellogg's saying that people with no money or low income,
they should
eat more cereal.
Cereal for dinner.
Yeah, go fuck yourself, man. It's like, it's...
So this is, you know what, Christian, this is exactly it. This is what pains me. I see this, the medical profession is lost. This guy was told to, eat vegan, Mediterranean. He has completely clean coronaries, reversed his cardiovascular disease. Reversed his metabolic disease. with a low-carb diet happens to have vasospasm, completely clean coronaries, and is told his diet's going to kill him. And I have to go and do the dirty work. I go to cardiologists, who just order nuclear stress tests because they get more RVUs.
True.
And when you say most doctors care,
I didn't say that.
Maybe.
Well, I did say that. Well, I don't know. I'm just trying to be optimistic because I cannot.
No, but honestly, how many doctors do you know, like in your not your hospital? I don't want to get you implicated, that you would go to. How many doctors do you know not in the online space that you respect? Because, they're not, I'm not talking about Jason Fung. Anybody would go to Jason Fung, right? But like, I'm talking about like, how many do you know in your field, not your field, but like your, community locally to you that you would go to?
Several. And I can tell you one thing. I think...
Can you count them on one hand or less than one hand?
It depends. I mean, if you're counting different specialties, I think I can count them with two hands maybe. But I mean, I do believe that here's the thing. I mean, and that this is something we see a lot of the Hispanic communities, or it's like the type of care that they get from a Hispanic doctor versus a Middle Eastern, Indian, a Chinese, I don't care. The Hispanic physician or doctor, the way that we communicate with our patients, it involves, it's the jokes, it's the carrilla, it's the demeanor, it's
different, called the Riz.
The what?
Riz.
I don't know what the fuck that is, man.
Riz means charisma.
Well, it's. I think that's what I think I see that more. I mean, to maybe you were expecting 5, but I do believe that at least where I'm working, but yeah. I think that's where I'm working, because there's other hospitals which I would not say the name, and then I see shitstorms. I see abuse. I've seen patients of mine getting revascularizations when they don't need it. I see patients of mine getting vein ablations. You know how much they charge for a fucking vein ablation?
I don't know how much. $1,000, $2,000.
From $1,500 to $3,000. Now, if you do that shit in an outpatient clinic, and you do 3 veins, that guy can get $9,000. Oh, but if you don't do it, your leg is gonna fall. Horseshit. I mean, and yeah. So there's a lot of ill-intentioned doctors. There's great doctors, but as I tell my patients, being a doctor is not synonymous of being a good person. I mean, no, it's not.
I've seen too much to. So anyway, to go back, to your thing, why I curse, and that's how this started, right? And why you curse, right? It's because I think our eyes are open a little bit to the fact that most of medicine, I'm sorry to say, is not what it looks like. And 80% are either asleep at the wheel, or they're not good people. They're not good people. 80%, either they're asleep or they're not good people. And I can't tell the difference. You and I can't tell the difference. If a doctor says, like, everybody deserves Ozempic, right? I understand what he means. But either he's asleep at the wheel or he's not a good person. And I can't tell. I don't know. And I'm not saying I want to withhold Ozempic. We prescribe Ozempic. Okay? And we could talk about that. But there's something wrong with them. There's something wrong. And I can't tell. Well, sorry. That's why I curse.
No.
Because I'm tired of seeing my patients get shitted on. Yeah. I'm tired of seeing people get shitted on. That's why I curse.
No, but here's the thing. I mean, when you curse and you say your things, I mean, you're saying it as in Spanish. I think I do it more than you do, actually. And what I say is that's how I speak with my friends. So this type of podcast that I have here is like me. I'm speaking with a friend, and I'm speaking like with you, like if I'm having a beer. If somebody wants to join the conversation and eavesdrops what we're talking about, that's perfect. I think the Hispanic people, the Hispanic community, doesn't get easily offended. Right now, Americans, not all of them. I mean, if como digo, if si lo saco de cada, I mean, if the suit fits, then that's your issue. I mean, but I think that a lot of people are just using anything to oh, I'm offended, you hurt my feelings. I mean, even Mexican Americans right now I get stopped all the time and they're respecting cops. I mean, if I get stopped by a cop, I get down, the cop tells me sit on the sidewalk, I've done it. Do I get offended? Hell no. Why? Because I can understand that these guys have been shot, and more so where we live in. So it's like I don't play that card, and I think in when you get the true Hispanic, we don't get easily offended. And when you're here right now, then all these things and you need to sugarcoat shit. And I don't like sugarcoating shit. I like saying things as they are. If I'm saying the things that I tell my Hispanic community, if I tell it to Americans, I mean, I was in TikTok in the English account. Holy shit. Everybody was offended. You cannot say what you think anymore. So
you can't even joke. Comedy's dead, they say now, because everybody gets canceled,
True.
I think where the pendulum swung too far with politically correctness and it's gone too far. I'm with you. And, do I regret being so abrasive online? Yeah, a little bit sometimes, but I'm just as abrasive academically now when I publish papers. If we just say it differently. We say
True.
The National Lipid Association should reconsider its guidelines and be more flexible. It's just a nice way of saying, fuck them, they're paid by pharma, right? It's the same thing, just said in a different way. We think that the American Psychological Association should be a little bit more flexible, and we think that you should not withhold low carb diets, right? It's just another way of saying you're a biased shithead, and stop. It's just so I can play the game. I just don't like it.
Yeah, no, and I mean and you have to know the people that are listening to you. And for me, I've always said I'm straightforward. You don't have to like how I say things, but I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. If you get offended, I'm not here to criticize you. I'm here to help you and to help you understand what things I've learned throughout my career and things that don't work and things that I've questioned. And so I think more and more we see patients like, doc, I'm not taking a statin. Okay. Well, who are you? Now, if you are a guy with cabbage times 4, you've got 4 bypasses, you're not that kind of guy that I'm going to tell you, dude, that's fine. You read it and I'm no. It's like, I'm going to tell you, look, there's certain things, there's certain reasons. And for example, with cholesterol, I mean, I don't see cholesterol as the God-forsaken molecule of heart attacks. For me, it's everything. It's your lifestyle. I mean, so if your cholesterol is a little bit high, but then again, everything else is perfectly fine. There's no insulin resistance. Your insulin fasting is in 4. Your Kraft curve is 1. Your triglycerides is 70. Your HDL is 70. And then your LDL is a bit high. Now I even know that, I mean, I learned this from you, and I told me, hey, you take 20, 40 grams of carbs every day, more than what you were, and boom. It's like the changes are phenomenal. But this you don't get from reading the papers and blah, blah, blah. This you get from experience and from dealing with the patients. Because yes, there was a point that I did not know what to do with that cholesterol. So, but then you get the physicians, the cardiologist, that the patient has already made up their mind. They know they're healthy, they are exercising, and they wanted to be placed on stand by somebody else. They come to you as a physician for you to listen. And they have made up their mind that they don't want a statin. you know what? I'm not going to be here. It's my way or the highway. We're a team. If there is a reason why I do consider that I want to drop your cholesterol significantly, but you do not want to because of X or Y, we're a team. I document that we spoke about it. I speak about the pros and cons, but the pros and cons are also very interesting. Why do I say that? Since we're speaking about statins. So it's sometimes I joke about it. Okay, if you get calcified arteries from statins, that is fine because that is stabilizing the plaque. But if you get it from something else, then that is bad. Now, you go to high-dose statins, atorvastatin 80, rosuvastatin 40, well, your glucose goes up. Now you're more at risk for prediabetes and diabetes. So you're changing one thing for the other. Now, it's not only the glucose being up, it's everything that entails being on glucose being up. Because glucose going up also means that you're going to be making more triglycerides, which also means that your blood is going to be stickier. So these are the things that you question, that I question, and that we're here to try to make the people understand how it's not just about the reading, it's about your experience. And hey, as many of my guests have said, unlearn things. I think that is key. We have to learn to unlearn. And I think that is a factor. And I think cardiologists can be very stubborn. No doubt about it. And I can imagine the shit they have to deal with. It must be annoying, you know.
A lot of doctors, man. A lot of doctors. But no, you're absolutely right. I think cardiovascular prevention is multifactorial. And now, you know, I have to be honest. I mean, we're getting calcium scores on nearly every patient. We're getting carotid and femoral artery ultrasounds with requests for plaque visualization on every patient. We're doing carotid intermediate thickness on nearly every patient. We want to know if they have plaque. If they have plaque, the risk discussion is different, right? The risk discussion is different, right? If they don't have plaque, like you said, you know, it's a risk benefit. Here's your 10-year risk. Here's your lifetime risk. This is what statins, the meta-analysis says. The latest one published in JAMA Internal Medicine said 19% relative risk reduction, right? Which if your 10-year risk is 5%, it's like nothing. It's nothing. So, but in some cases, when your risk is high, like you said, the CABG patient, 20% risk, okay, then fine, I'm listening, you know? If you're telling me I'm going to lower somebody's risk by 5% in the decade, I'm listening. You know, I'm not saying no, you know, like, okay, tell me what. If you told me I got a credit card for you, 5% with less interest, you know, I'm going to listen. If you tell me 1% interest, I don't give a shit. Get out of my office. You know, like, I don't care, man. So I'm with you. And we document so that what you're talked about is shared decision-making.
Yeah.
Right. There's a word for that. And we have to do that. We have to respect our patients because I have patients that are 20% risk and I tell them, here is the benefit. And they're like, I don't care, doc, I'm not taking it. And then I have patients who are like, I'm like, your risk is 7.5%. Like, but I want to take it. I'm like, I'm happy to give it to you, but I wouldn't. If you were my brother or sister, I would say I wouldn't take it. But it's still their choice.
You know, it's funny.
I'm here to facilitate.
This is exactly the struggle that I've been having, and it gets me even more pissed. So, for example, right now in TikTok, it says that the content has been restricted because some people might find it disturbing. I don't know what the fuck I said that we can call education disturbing. I mean, it really pisses me off. I mean,
So stop it and reset.
No, hell, I mean, it's like, I mean, I gave up on that platform a long time ago. I mean, it's like, we'll get to the YouTube and put it there. Whoever wants to listen, whoever wants to learn, that's how I do it. But anyways, so yeah, disturbing content on how to recover your health, people. Well, so having said all this stuff, I think that right now, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, I think it's interesting with everything you said, because then that means that you were a physician and you were looking for help from other physicians, and did you feel, I mean, talking about, I mean, if we want to go to that theme right now about, I mean, I think it's inspiring for many, for them to know that you were 350 pounds and you were trying everything.
Yeah. I mean, look, I was looking at this as more informal, and I forgot this is going to go to a podcast also, but let's start there. I mean, you know, it is an inspiring story. It inspires many. It inspires me. Even now, I get proud. I get fired up. You know, I came, I mean, how far back do you want to go, Christian? I came from a family where everybody was overweight. Everybody was fat.
That's important.
By the time I was 13 years old, my older brother was already nearly 350 pounds. When I was 13, he was 14.
Okay, he was 14, he was already 350?
350 pounds, yes. By when I was 13, I was already 210 pounds. My current weight, 205 pounds. I was 13 years old. I go to my doctor for my 13th physical. Okay, Dr. Adis, I won't forget this. And I'm sitting in the waiting room for about an hour and a half watching TV. And then he calls me in, and I go up and I go on the scale, and the scale reads 207 pounds. And Dr. Adis looks at me and he goes, wow, you're fat. He goes, you're not going to be any different than your mother. You're not going to be any different than your brother. And you're fat. And I remember that moment, Christian, you asked why I curse, so I'm going to stick on why I curse, right? I remember sitting down in that room saying, this fucker, sorry, TikTok, just told me that after making me wait 1.5 hours, that I should go lose weight and I'm going to be fat like my family. I said, if this guy actually gave a shit, he would have put a bike or a treadmill in his waiting room. I remember walking out of that office, 13 years old, Christian, a punk kid with a truly fat family, truly sick family, and saying, I'm going to become a doctor. And here's the problem. What do you think a 13-year-old knows about weight loss? Not much. What do you think a 13-year-old boy, his whole family's fat and he's fat, what do you think a 13-year-old boy does?
Exercise because he was want to be like with his family?
Yes, I started running. What does he do about food?
Undereats?
I ate nothing for a month. I ate nothing for 1 month. At 3 weeks, I shouldn't say that. 3 weeks, my parents force-fed me lettuce and carrots. They didn't force-feed me. They said, you're going to eat this now. And I sat down and I ate it. Okay? I lost weight. I lost a ton of weight. Okay? And I went from 210 to 160 pounds at the age of 13. Not many people have known this, Christian. And then I said that I kept running. I tried to keep the weight off. And I was vegetarian for 2 years and vegan for one of those years because I had to eat less calories. I had to eat less calories so that I could solve my obesity problem at the age of 13. And I wanted to go be a doctor so that I could fucking prove this Adis guy wrong. Okay? And all that happened is I gained 10 pounds per year from the age 14 to 30. I went from 150, by the time I was 15 years old, 32 years old, I gained 15 pounds per year and ultimately got to 350 pounds. And this is after becoming a personal trainer, going pre-med, going to med school, doing residency, becoming board certified. So all throughout that time, I pretty much every year gained 15 pounds, 10 to 15 pounds. Right. And then, and despite me learning everything, I mean, I went to Yale. I had several doctors around me, the endocrinologist, cardiologist, and I tried to explain to them, I memorized calories, Christian. I was a 350-pound doctor. If you give me a food right now, let's play a little game. You give me a food and you fact check me to see if I get the calories wrong. Okay, let's play a game. Like pick a food, and I'll tell you, you won't be able to get it wrong because I have the calories memorized.
You sure?
The calories, I'm sure. Don't give me some esoteric shit. Give me like a fucking banana.
Okay, let's try. Give me a say. Let's say
1
a
ounce
kiwi. One kiwi.
Okay. Kiwi, I'm going to go with 55 calories. What does it say?
42.
42. Okay.
1 pound ribeye.
1 pound ribeye, fat trimmed or no fat trimmed?
Just like that. Not fat trimmed.
1,300.
True. Yeah. 1,200 to 1,300. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Okay. So, give me another one. So anyway, so I had the fucking calories memorized, bro. Memorized. Okay? And they're like, you got to count your calories. I'm like, you don't fucking understand. I have this shit memorized. And so ultimately I'm 350 pounds, and it's not for a lack of intellect. Right? In me is a drive to eat that's more powerful than most orthorexic doctors and dietitians. And I have the will to not eat, but my drive to eat is much greater than any of them understood.
I think that's a key point that I like to emphasize to people. And he's saying that he has a drive to eat. So when people speak about obesity, it's just not the eat less, move more, blah, blah, blah shit. There's people that are fighting demons when it comes to comestibles. Because I stopped calling everything food, So in English, I think I would say an eatable, not because you can eat it, it's food. You've got eatables. I mean, so not because you can eat it doesn't mean that you should eat it. It's like, so the point is that you and eatables usually are man-made or human-made for you to chug more, which I'll go to my next point, and you're gonna test me to that. But yeah, the point here is that either by your hypothalamus or in your orexigenic neurons, or who knows what genetic factor you have,
FTO homozygous, MC4R homozygous. I have all the fat genes. I have them all.
Oh, you checked them already?
Yeah.
Holy shit balls.
Yeah. So I have an insatiable drive to eat. I have all the obesity genes, quote unquote. And so they don't fucking know shit, man. They tell you to count calories. They tell you it's genetic. It wasn't that. I can eat 2 pounds of food no matter what food you give me. You understand what I'm saying? I can eat 2 pounds of food per sitting. So if you give me satiating food, okay, I can eat 2 pounds. If you give me addictive food, I could eat 2 pounds. And then 2 hours later, I'm going to eat another 2 pounds. And 2 hours later, I'm going to eat another 2 pounds. So when my wife came to me when I was 350 pounds, and she saw my brother at 500 pounds, and she saw my mother with a gastric bypass, and my father with heart surgery, with a heart attack, she asked me, she said, "Are you going to die?" Before she was pregnant with our, he's going to be 9. And she said, "Are you going to die before he's born?" This is 10 years ago. And Christian, she said, "You're a smart guy. You scored 99th percentile in your board exam. Why can't you figure this out?" So I went, Christian, with the same curiosity that I've always had my whole life and the same anger that I've had since age 13. And I read fucking everything just like you had it, just like you did.
Mm-hmm.
I read ABOM, all the textbooks. I read Weston's textbook. I read 2 other textbooks on obesity, maybe 300 diet books, 1,000+ papers. I remember back when you were organizing your papers, I was organizing my papers, and I have this library of fucking papers. And then you understand it's all bullshit. The calorie counting is bullshit. The whole concept of calories, it doesn't make sense. 1,000 calories of vodka does not lead to the same effects as 1,000 calories of steak or salmon. So it's all bullshit so they could sell their food. And when I finally started to understand it, I didn't understand it that quickly. I didn't come to this realization quickly. I went to literature and I said, which one does better, calorie counting or low fat? That was my first question. And I said, low fat did better. Then my next question was, what does better, low fat or low carb? Then low carb did better. And I'm looking at the literature. I'm like, wait a second. Next trial, low carb did better. Next trial, low carb did better. Next trial, low carb did better. I look at every trial, low carb does better. And I'm like, why the hell did they tell me to count my calories? If they've tested the idea of counting your calories, they tell people to do it. And then they just tell a whole other group, go eat low fat. Even low fat, which is the shittiest diet, does better than counting calories. Right? And then when you compare low fat to low carb does better. So I'm like, okay, I have the world's hungriest brain. Why wouldn't I do, if it was antibiotics and A was better than B and B was better than C, right? I picked the best one. That's where my journey started, just following the evidence. I never cooked a steak, Christian, in my life. I never cooked one steak. If you told me, I would have gone back to veganism.
I agree. I mean,
if it would have worked for me.
For me, eating a ribeye, I remember no, and putting salt in my food was an absolute no. Eggs, 2 per week. I mean, if I was, if my old me or my younger me saw what I'm eating right now, he would think I went apeshit crazy. Honestly, it's ridiculous, and it's the most satisfying feeling, because if you eat well, your cravings are practically tamed. Let's put it that way. Some might be gone, but they're tamed. Do you recommend for anybody? Because how did you get your gene testing? Is it an online thing, or what the hell did you do there?
Yeah, I mean, there's some companies that do it. Various different companies. I mean, GB Health
helps you.
Good company.
Or can it help?
Does it help clinically or personally?
No, personally. Because I mean, I think that can help a lot of patients that are being judged. It's like, there you go. It's just I'm made this way. Just like, so, because there's always a judging, right? Okay, so this so we have to take this into account. We have the boxer. I don't give a shit whatever you want to call her, him, whatever, but she was made that way. Okay, well then, and people are for that. So if somebody with obesity has certain genes, at least I think that comes with a comfort that, you are fighting against, you're fighting a fight that is more challenging to you than it is to your neighbor, or than you are to your. So in my thought process, I think that, well, at least that gives you, it's like, okay, I just need to work harder on this. It's like me with my ADHD. I needed to study 8 friggin' hours for something I didn't like, while my other friend was studying for an hour and he got 100. I got an 80. It's just, you have to work harder to achieve what you want, and you're designed that way. And I think that is I don't know if you do it with your patients, if you thought about it. I mean, your thoughts.
Look, I'll tell you this. Do I need the gene testing to destigmatize my patients? No, I don't need it. But does it help? Yeah, it helps. And it doesn't mean it's an excuse. It means like it's an explanation. It's an explanation. You can look at my family. You don't need a fancy gene test. My older brother got up to 500 pounds. I almost got to 400 pounds. My younger brother got over 400 pounds. My mother got to 300 plus pounds. And my father had a heart attack. Yeah. You don't need a gene test. But what I understood was why, it's sort of like alcoholism. Let me explain, right? Well, you know what? I'll explain it like this. It's food addiction. Okay. My wife and I both changed our diets together. Okay. And we have a picture of us as a couple before and a couple after. So when you remove the addictive substance from our lives, I lose 150 pounds. My wife lost 20 and lost her migraine.
Yep.
So the question is, okay, well, what is going on here? The food properties are the same for everybody, but the affinity of which you gravitate to that is different. I'm much more captivated by that. It's like an alcoholic. There's some people who the affinity for alcohol is very great. For all of us, it's kind of good, right? It's kind of good to have a drink, relax, right? Kind of good. We're drawn to it. But some people, the draw to drink is so loud and so kind. And what makes it worse? What makes it partly genetic, partly mental health, partly the stress in your life, right? So if you wanted to solve the obesity, what solved it for me was viewing obesity as a substance use issue and not a budgeting issue or a willpower issue. I had no willpower problem. I didn't eat for a month of my life, and I got to fucking medical school and residency. I didn't have a problem with discipline. I didn't have a problem with willpower. Right? Those were not my issues. My issues were not budgeting. I could recite the calories. I had an unrelenting drive to eat that I did not understand. And I did not know how to manage. And once I learned how to manage it, I'm back to my 13-year-old weight.
Yeah.
And I'm maintaining. And this is it. It's not the gene. It's not the calorie. It's how do you manage your hunger? How do you manage your craving? How do you manage your feelings of deprivation? How do you manage food at social situation? And how do you manage food when you're depressed, excited, celebrating, anxious, stressed out? 5 things. How do you manage your hunger, your cravings, your feelings of deprivation? How do you manage social situations? How do you manage your emotions and how you cope when it comes to food? So these 5 things, if people do these 5 things, they manage those 5 things, they don't have a food problem. They will not have a weight problem. Period. I haven't met somebody. I mean, we published our results. We just submitted our results, Christian. Our 2-year results are 15.5% weight loss.
How much?
15.5. No drugs, no surgery. 15.5% weight loss across an employee. Well, this is people who didn't come to me. Their employer hired me and said, take care of anybody who wants to lose weight.
So you're close to the upper level results of the tirzepatide results for weight loss, basically, which is what the 20.
Yeah, we're in striking distance of tirzepatide and the sleeve. I'm not the sleeve, the band, gastric band. Mm-hmm. If they tested our program against tirzepatide, it would not have been approved. 100%, I can say that. If they tested our program against tirzepatide, I don't think that it would have gotten approval. right? It would have been a maybe 5% difference. It would have been like not even a thing. And we cost half as much. Not even, maybe even less, a third. Anyway, so this is the thing that I think if I could go back to myself when I was 13, I would have said, listen, forget about this bullshit, calorie count, forget about genetics. Even if it is genetic, you need to figure out how to manage your hunger, eat meat, fish, chicken, eggs, Greek yogurt, green leafy vegetables till you're full. You need to figure out how you're going to manage your cravings. And cravings come in two basic forms, sweet and salt.
And why the
right? Sweet and salt. Sweet and salt.
Yeah, true.
Sweet, salt, and crunchy. If you manage those two things, if you manage your cravings and your hunger, you're 80% of the way. Then you have the feeling of deprivation. If you're not deprived, you're going to be fine. If you feel deprived, you're going to have problems. So you better figure out how you manage it. Whether you're going to bring, fake, almond flour food, or whether you're just going to say, I'm not going to have these things and I'm not going to be deprived. You got to figure it out. You got to figure out how to manage social situations. Where do diets go to die? Vacations, holidays, business meetings, anniversaries, dates. What are you going to do about food there? What are you going to do the day after? Right? And the last thing is where lifestyles go to die is when you're sad, depressed, anxious, happy, celebrating, in love. What are you going to do about food? Are you going to stick to your lifestyle or not? And if you manage those 5 things, you don't have a food problem. I'm sorry. 99% resolve with those 5.
Yeah, I
agree or disagree.
I agree completely. I think that, what I tell, for example, what you're saying kind of goes with what I tell people with the everything with moderation. And I think that everything with moderation is a butchered sentence that has not been finished. It's everything with moderation, but prior to that, you need to put a scale from 1 to 10 on how challenging it's going to be for you to moderate a particular food or eatable. If it's going to be a 10, don't fucking touch it. Because you already know that it's like you're just setting up yourself for failure. Now, if you are going to be chugging something down, which is a scale of a 1, probably a broccoli, you're not going to have challenge. Another example I give to people is, I don't think anybody can gain weight eating broccoli, Brussels sprouts, asparagus with salmon, with tilapia, with chicken breast, with trimmed ribeye. What?
FTO homozygous, MC4R homozygous.
What? You
definitely can.
With that shit?
Definitely.
How can you eat broccoli and salmon?
You know what it is? I can tell you how to do it. It's harder. You're right. 100%. But let me tell you, I can eat 2 to 3 pounds of food in a sitting without even hurting.
Really?
Yeah.
So how do you stop? Because my point, the way I help my patients is they just cannot overeat what I tell them to eat. So and then
you got to step away from the table and just a bit of time and the drive. You know how, like, when you're low carb and intermittent fasting, you're so stable, you don't want to eat. But when you eat, I can eat.
Yeah.
I can eat. So I just don't eat frequently. That's it. It's like, look, there are some cars that have a 20-gallon tank.
Yeah.
There are some cars that have a 10-gallon tank. My tank is 20 gallon. My whole family's tank is 20 gallon. That's the tank we have. And that's my wife's tank. She can barely eat half a pound of food. Half a pound. If I forced her a pound of food, a pound of food, but I can eat 2 to 3 pounds. I have several patients that have made it to 500, 550 pounds who have lost weight, by the way, that can eat 3, 4, 5 pounds of food in a sitting.
Damn. Holy cow.
Yeah, we get it, man. But it's same principle. Eat a reasonable amount, walk away from the table. Eat a reasonable amount, walk away from the table.
So in that aspect, the satiety hormones are just what? They're not working.
No, they work. It's just the stretch receptors don't work, or the emptying is so quick that there's no stretch. Right? The stretch, like there's no. I don't know, Christian. I don't know. I've thought about it, but 3 pounds of food. You want to hear something even worse? If you give me 2 pounds of food, then give me a sweet taste, that it's gone. It's like there was no food in my stomach.
Well,
I don't even feel like this.
That's what competitive eaters actually do. Eh? When they are completely full of eating a tub of ice cream, they go for salt, and then they can continue eating, and vice versa. So yeah, it's a fascinating story there. No, it's about.
Let me tell you, if I was, I would have been a tough patient if I was a patient, because it's very difficult. This is how I learned every trick in the book. It's because my brain can outsmart everything you throw at it. My brain and my gut can outsmart everything you throw at it, and it has.
Does the same thing apply with Diet Coke?
100%.
Yeah, that's what
I haven't had Diet Coke. I haven't had Diet Coke in like 5 years. But if I eat like a pound and a half of ribeye, I'll be full enough that I can walk away from the table.
Which
if I eat a pound and a half and then I eat a Diet Coke, it's like, Christian, I never ate anything.
So this is very important for people. Tro is American Board of Obesity Medicine certified. And you know what? And he's internal medicine. I went to cardiology. I did interventional cardiology. I was just fed up of what I was seeing. But I Googled it and I went to ChatGPT. It says that I'm the only interventional cardiologist who's certified by the American Board of Obesity Medicine.
Nice.
And you know what an interesting thing is? That I'm interventional cardiologist, where I should be treating old farts for heart attacks, and people want to send me their kids. It's like they want to send me their 15-year-olds, their 12-year-olds. I'm like, it's pretty dramatic in this aspect, and I think this is the reason I mention it is because we understand obesity. We've read, we've seen the papers. We keep reading what's going on, and the point that I find very, I don't even argue anymore, because I do believe, and I think that, I have patients that want to fly from Peru, from different parts of Latin America. Yesterday I had a patient that she wanted to fly from Mexico City over here, and I told her, but the thing is, we listen to patients. If you tell me food is not addictive, and you give me and you tell me, it's like, I don't care what the hell you call it. Is it problematic to stop eating? Is it addictive? I had the conversation with Unwin about this. Why is it so problematic within the medical community and some nutritionists saying, well, food cannot be addictive? Okay, eatables can? Then let's not call them food, because, okay, you cannot have addiction to broccoli, I think. But, then you can have it to pizza or to that article that actually labels like 25 or 30 problematic foods, You can call it whatever you want, problematic, addictive, but there's foods that are designed for you to eat more. And the reason I'm emphasizing this point is because Diet Coke and diet drinks are usually a point of controversy between obesity medicine doctors. And what I can tell you is, if they're eating, and you just mentioned it, you drink a little bit of Diet Coke, and all of a sudden, you can eat more. The same shit happens if you get un totopo with salt, a crunchy one, and they're done. They had the ribeye, but now they ate that thing with guacamole, they can eat another bowl of that shit. So that is very important, and people need to understand who they are and what is problematic for them. Like, I understand what can trigger my migraines. Don't do it. Well, you understand what can trigger for you to eat more. Then, be careful with that. So, but yeah, I mean, diet drinks is something that I see constantly a fight about,
Well, so the concept of changing the flavor profile, it's a sensory specific satiety.
Mm-hmm.
There is a special mechanism that detects differing tastes and drives hunger. And this even, I'm going to give a comparison between me and my wife. When my wife goes for the chips and the guacamole after the meal, she has 1. I have 15, right? So because she just needs the taste and she's already full. I don't have that taste and full. I need to feel full. And the taste of it makes me not feel full. So it's like a whole nother eating episode, meaning there is addictive qualities in it, period, right? And that different taste or different texture drives every human to eat more. But if you have a vulnerability to addictive food, you're going to eat a lot more, right? My wife eats 1 more chip, 2 more chips. I eat 20, right? It's the same thing. It's just like, somebody has a sip of wine, somebody has a 2 bottle, right? No different. But that mechanism has been tested in other mammals, and every other mammal has this same hunger drive, sensory specific satiety. You give a bear 10,000 calories of salmon, and then you give it more salmon, it doesn't. You give it berries after that, and it'll eat another 5,000 calories. You give it, salty oysters after that, it'll eat another 5,000 calories, right? But if you gave it the same food, it's not interested. So this drive to eat, sensory specific satiety, and this is why restaurants give you dessert options and give you appetizer options, because they know each time they give you a variety food, you're going to eat more.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting. Makes sense.
You knew that.
No, I mean, I didn't know from the business standpoint, but that, I mean, I knew that the sensory specific satiety, it makes sense why they divide it like that in your appetizer, your main course, your dessert. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, and now they charge you for side plate, They charge you for side plate because they know, right? They're catering to a ingrained mechanism that they're exploiting for profit. But the bottom line is everybody has this. Everybody has it to a different degree. For me, it's the sweet taste.
Yeah.
It could be berries. It could be, an iced tea with sugar substitute. It could be a Diet Coke. It could be whatever. But the sweet taste will immediately make me more hungry. Now, we pointed Diet Coke, though, it's a good one because if I'm coming off of Coke, Diet Coke is like a brainless decision. A brainless decision. Sorry.
No, you don't have better close. Don't do a close up. Just there you go.
There you go. So if you're on Coke and juice and you switch to, Diet Coke, that's a huge win, right? So the problem is the same substance could be harmful for some people and helpful for others.
Gotcha.
So if you know what I mean, so I don't know how you feel about it. I have no issue with Diet Coke. I think it's actually, good for some people because it's helping them stop Coke. But I think it's not an ideal. Go drink water. Go drink.
It's perfect. Well, you have to know the patient. There you go. And that is exactly. So you have to ask, if you drink Diet Coke, have you noticed that you eat more? Yes, you've got your answer. Then stay away and try to wean off. So what I tell my patients is I start to dilute the Diet Coke with agua mineral. It's with soda water, whatever. So it's a 50-50 or a 40-60 or whatever, until they are fine just drinking, just the soda water, But that is I think it's a great point. It's not that we're saying, you cannot drink your Diet Coke. It's that you have to learn. You have to ask a couple of questions before you go that route, because there's definitely people that will tend to eat more if they're having their Diet Coke or their Diet Pepsi or whatever the hell. So,
look, I if you look at the literature for Diet Coke, it's mixed. It's not, I would say, not clear, but I think it's just individual. Does it help you? That's the bottom line. Does it help you? If you're on Coke and juice and you go to Diet Coke, probably it can help you. If you were otherwise doing mineral water and going to bed, like, why are you drinking Diet Coke? Like, put it down, have a seltzer and go to sleep. True. If anybody tells you they have the answer, I think it always depends on the person,
For me, it's like, I know that the people can lose weight with your vegan diet, with your carnivore, blah, blah, blah. For me, it's like, for me, low carb is my definitely go-to. And I will say this because of at least my demographic, my population, everybody eats tacos, sopes, tamales, tortillas, bread, hot dogs. I live in so it's in the border. So we've got the junk food from the United States. We've got all these Mexican antojitos from Mexico. And now you combine them and you make a freaking monster, It's like, it's really tasty food. The other day, I went with my kids to a restaurant and I just had my chicken salad. And that's only the appetizer, sir. It's like, bring me my appetizer. I'm like, holy shit balls. It was a huge bowl. I ate it and I'm like, thank God I didn't order anything else. So even the portions are distorted and people feel that they're being ripped off if you get a human-sized portion. That is at least my conclusion here where I live, which is the fattest city in the United States. Look, it's been 7 years in a row now.
Look, I'll tell you, maybe I got to come to McAllen, but I stopped focusing on portion. Portion for me is the last line, right? Most people will stop eating if they're not hungry, if they're full. If they're not hungry, if they're full, they're going to stop. Do I care about the portion? Not really. I care about portions of addictive food. That's it. Yeah. I do not care about portions about food that it's going to nourish somebody, it's going to help somebody. If it's fish and broccoli and asparagus, I don't care about the portion. I don't care. I don't care about, for 99% of people, I don't care. For the 1% who has, was 400 pounds or more and has the FTO and MC4R genes, they can care a little bit about portion. They can limit from 4 pounds of food to 2 pounds of food. But most people, if you just cut out the addictive food, and the problem is these people who are obese, this, they're the ones who have folate deficiency, B12 deficiency, vitamin C deficiency, vitamin B12 deficiency. When these, excuse my language, really people with obesity, fat people like I was, when they go and they try to restrict what they eat, they're already so nutrient devoid, so insulin resistant, so inflamed, they don't realize they actually have to eat more for a long time. They have to eat more for a long time because they're so inflamed and so depleted, they have no ability to even think. I tell people that come to me for a month, don't even try to lose weight, and they're like, I'm like, they're like, I'm going to McDonald's, doc. I'm going to McDonald's and, I got to lose weight. I just got to quit. I'm like, no, don't stop going to McDonald's. Keep going to McDonald's. I'm like, go just get the hamburger patties. Go get a 1/4 pound patty, just a 1/4 pound patties, and eat that with salt. Go get a side of pickles and, a side salad to make Christian Assad, the cardiologist, happy, And but this is what they say, Doc. And I'm like, how many would you get? And Christian, these people, they're like 400 pounds or 300 pounds. And they tell me, Christian, I would get one hamburger patty. One. My like my 8.5-year-old kid. Okay. The kid eats 3 hamburger, he eats almost a pound of meat. Okay. My 10-year-old daughter eats like 3 or 4. She eats almost a pound of meat. And I'm like, my son, who's my age right now, when I was 210 pounds, he's now half my weight that I was. He's not even 100 pounds. And the kid eats a pound of meat. Yeah. And I'm looking at these people that are 350 pounds, nutrient deficient. I'm like, you have to eat whatever you think you have to eat when it comes to meat and fish and egg. Go eat triple. Go eat quadruple. Right? And they can't. And you know it, they can't, Christian. Right. They can't.
I agree.
They go to eat a pound of meat and they're like, they can't do it. They can't do it. Right? It's hard for them.
So I tell patients, if you're in the pantry and you're just looking around, you're not hungry. I mean, you're just goofing around, The other thing is, I always tell them, imagine if you're there and you're looking for something. If you had in front of you a nice, I don't know, let's get something tasty. Asparagus with Philadelphia and a nice piece of toasty bacon around it, juicy, and the salmon. If you wouldn't eat that, you're not hungry. And that has helped a lot of my patients. Another thing that I try to tell them between is hunger versus craving. And an exercise that I tell them to do, which is pretty cool, is I tell them, once they can do it, is to fast for 24 hours or you do your OMAD, right? Well, yeah. Get your can of tuna. Just a can of tuna. I don't care. You can put lemon or salt or don't put anything. But the first can of tuna, after that 24-hour fast, for most people, it actually tastes good.
It's great.
The second one tastes so. The third one tastes like shit. They will not finish the third one, which goes with the satiety or the sensor satiety, But it's for me to show them only 2 cans of tuna is what it took for you not to want to eat more. In other words, you can lose weight without being hungry. It might not work for everybody, but what I'm trying to get to the point here is you need to find
hunger and cravings are not the same. You're 100% right. Hunger and cravings are not the same. You have to deal with hunger. That's real food.
Yeah. And
then you have to figure out what you're going to do with cravings, and that's hard in our modern world. It's very hard. It's very hard.
And it's key to identify the cravings because I think it has to be like with alcohol and drugs. The more time that has gone by that you have not had those craving eatables, the less that you remember about them, the less that you crave them. So the longer that it, but for me it happened. I remember when I'm doing the Diet Cokes. I can stop not taking them. But if I'm doing a week in which I'm drinking them, I actually want to get another one. When it has been a month that I have not, it's the other way around. I don't even want to taste it, So those things are important. And yes, the thing with our medical community is that, well, that's anecdotal. It doesn't mean anything. Give me a randomized control trial. Who gives a shit? The patient doesn't care about your randomized control trial. He cares about, or she cares about herself or himself. So we have to know the patient. We have to know their story. So I think that's been one of the ways or reasons why me with a brief talk with a patient, I've helped patients drop also like 100 pounds in a year. And this was even me before doing the ABOM thing. Funny thing that you mentioned it, that you aced your boards. I didn't ace my boards. My boards were a fucking night. I hated it. If you asked me to study more cardiology with my ADD, I go apeshit crazy. But the thing that I scored the highest was my ABOM. It was ridiculous. I mean, that was
you loved it.
Yeah,
You loved
yes,
it, probably.
I did. I mean, I like reading about it. That this whole podcast is about it. It's because I think that this is what has the biggest impact on people. You change their lives, and the reason why I was asking over you about the genes and things. I've had patients that they come crying to my clinic because they were just like the fucking asshole doctor that saw you when you were 13 that told you about that. It's like, fuck. I mean, if a doctor told that to one of my kids, I honestly don't know how the hell I would respond. I would just go apeshit crazy on that guy. I mean, people do not understand or doctors, I think the power of words, and judging people. And in my case, I think that the judgment that comes more so women, the 40, the 50-year-old women, that they tell you, Doc, I eat a salad and I gain weight. It's because they so nutrient depleted and they've been doing their hypocaloric diet for such a long period of time that they've screwed up their metabolism already. It's like the biggest loser study that I mentioned sometimes, no? And all these things, I'm pretty certain that you have this patience, which comes to a good point. We know that the metabolism can be screwed up. How do you deal with that? Because sometimes that cannot recover. Supposedly, it could take many years.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think it's permanent, right? I think once your thyroid, let's see, is it good now? Once your thyroid is shot, I feel like it doesn't recover. But David Ludwig showed, and a meta-analysis showed that low-carb diets increase energy expenditure. So think about what that means. It means the foods we eat affect what we do. And this makes sense intuitively to people because they go and, let's say you have 1,000 calories of alcohol. You have 1,000 calories of alcohol. What happens the next day, Christian?
You feel like shit in addition.
You feel like shit?
Yeah, that's right.
Are you going for a 5-mile walk? Are you getting your steps in?
No.
And if you have 1,000 calories of ribeye, what happens the next day? How do you feel?
You feel great. I mean, I do.
Feel good, right? You feel good, and you go or whatever, salmon and asparagus, whatever you want. So the foods you eat, we all intuitively understand they affect how we feel and act, right? And how much we fidget our legs, how much we walk spontaneously, how much we get up and move around, how good we feel, our propensity to go just for a walk, right? Yeah. Low carb diets make you feel better and you just naturally do more in your life. Your metabolism increases 200 to 300 calories. And this is what he showed. The energy expenditure goes up. We don't know why. We don't know how. Okay. If you ask Ben Bickman, who was on your podcast, he says, that you have to, it increases the mitochondrial respiration. It makes the mitochondria work slightly more inefficiently, and this makes a metabolic advantage. David Ludwig says it may be fidgeting, it may be walking more spontaneously. He doesn't know.
Yeah.
But your calorie expenditure goes up 200 to 300 points. So if your metabolism is shot, stop eating hungry food. Addictive food, foods that make you eat more. That's step one. Step two is adopt a diet that makes you feel good, nutrition replete, so you can go exercise and it doesn't feel like a punishment. So that's what I do with people who are metabolically compromised. Now, is it medications? Sometimes we diagnose thyroid issues. We give them medication. When somebody has a thyroid issue, we like to add the T3 component that seems to help with weight loss. Out of all the lab work, the most likely to predict Weight loss maintenance is your T3 level, right? Is your T3 level. So I think empirically, I like to give people with Hashimoto's or who've had a thyroid removed or something like that, in addition to T4, which is like levothyroxine, I'd like to give a little dose of, leotheranine or T3.
That's interesting. How, because I don't do that. And you see a difference? And there's people that have their hypothyroidism, because it's a very frequent question that I get from my patients, but I usually let the endocrinologist or whoever's dealing with that make the adjustments.
I'll add, we own it. We own the whole, we're a touchy-feely practice.
No, I'll do it. I wouldn't care, but I'm like, for me, it's like the carbs that you told me back then. I do that, but now so T3, I think I heard
just a 1 to 10 ratio is a good place to start.
1 to 10 ratio.
So if somebody's had Hashimoto's for years, decades, their thyroid's gone. If they've had a thyroidectomy, so you can, if they feel fine on T4, great, they don't need it. But if they're struggling with weight, you can add T3 in a 1 to 10 ratio. So
what's the name of the T3? It's just T3, or does it have a specific?
Cytomel, liothyranine, right? Or cytomel.
And so if you're taking 75, what? You're going to give it a 7.5?
5 milligrams. Yeah, 5 milligrams or 10 milligrams, whatever. Either one, you could kind of see. And we shoot. Yeah, we shoot for a TSH under 2, typically.
Okay.
Then, if you're just thinking about other things, postmenopausal, I'm not big personally on hormone replacement, but my partner, Dr. Laura Buchanan, she is a big proponent of HRT. I've seen that help people. The estrogen, the effect on insulin sensitivity, and the testosterone that drops for postmenopausal women.
And that is a woman?
No, she's also ABOM certified.
No. But the hormone replacement therapy, does she focus more on women?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
What's her name?
Laura Buchanan, Dr. Laura Buchanan. Yeah, she's great. She's awesome.
I might want her here so it'll be nice to have her here as well.
Yeah, she's kind. She doesn't curse at all. So.
Yeah, I don't. It's depending on the guest. So I can be a caveman or I can be a gentleman.
Yeah. She's so kind. She's really smart. She's much smarter than I am, to be honest. But other things we do, I think daily activity and exercise for those people who are really compromised. You have to. I had a patient who lost 10 pounds a year for 3 years with me. 10 pounds a year for 3 years. She was happy because she hadn't lost any weight for decades. And then I was like, you have to fall in love with exercise. And she actually did what I said. She of all things, I have people who we get them to love weightlifting. I have people who get them to love walking or rucking or whatever.
Yeah.
This one, I couldn't find anything. And I just happened to tell her I was experimenting with virtual reality. The headset. I don't use it, but somebody had given it to me who wanted to develop a weight loss program for virtual reality. And they had this boxing app.
Oh, yeah.
And she put it on. She fell in love with the boxing app. She's in a competition. She has friends on the boxing app. And she does it every day.
Is it with Meta? Meta 3 or what?
Yeah, it's with Meta. Yeah. It's with Meta. And she's like, now they're my Facebook friends. She has a community. And she's like, and she lost 50 pounds in 1 year.
That's nice, man.
And the only thing she did different was she fell in love with exercise. That's it. But her eating was locked in. Her eating for 3 years, she lost 10 pounds a year, very much paying attention to late night eating, quality food eating. She did all that.
If she wants to lose more weight, tell her to get half a pound band to start punching. Yeah, I've done it in the past, and you cannot believe how much it changes. You break a sweat easily, and it's fun. You're right, My only issue that I had was that thing started getting really sweaty, so
It's
you
a
had to
headache,
change.
right?
But still,
Yeah.
I mean, I think you nailed it, because I hate going to the gym. It's the most boring shit that I can imagine. I mean, it's like, it's vanity. The only reason I go to that place, I mean, I'm being realistic, but walking, I think walking is undermined, is people underestimate the power of a good walk. And more so if you can make your walk a mindful walk. So you make a mindful walk in which, and when I say what to people that are listening, you don't go walking stressing about your problems. You go walking and you focus on the moment, on the air, on the sounds, on the feeling of walking, on being thankful that you can move your legs. You're not running, you're walking. And you do that, you put nice music, you come back, you come relaxed, it was enjoyable. Now you can go to sleep even easier. Your sleep is improved. Now your sleep is improved, your triglycerides, your lipid profile, your insulin resistance. So there's a lot of benefit to a good walk. I'm not talking about running. A good,
you're right.
Nice walk.
Exercise cannot be punishment. It cannot be punishment, right? It cannot be punishment. And you're right. Just walking. And for most people, all they need is a walk. All they need is to walk. And for people who are, once you do that for a year, if you want to do something more, you could rock. You could throw on a weighted vest and you can walk with it if you wanted to do more.
Yeah.
So walking can scale. People get mad at the idea of walking because they're like, I can't walk for 5 hours a day, or, otherwise I'm going to be running, or I can't, how am I going to make the calorie? How am I going to burn more calories? Like, no, just you're exercising for mental health. You're exercising not because it's a punishment for the food you ate, but to move your body, right? To move your body. And I can't agree enough. The cortisol reduction from walking has been shown, been documented.
Yeah.
In fact, if you walk in nature, it reduces even more cortisol than walking, but I'm 100% with you. Do any movement that you enjoy. I mean, this lady was doing virtual reality boxing.
Well, it's a good point. Even dancing classes. I mean, it's like, hey, go do the foxtrot or something.
I just had a patient today.
Yeah.
Sent us a picture where we encourage patients to send us videos or pictures of them exercising, what they love doing. And he sent me a picture. He's doing salsa dancing. I'm like, man, go for it. He's like this middle-aged Indian guy, salsa dancing, and I'm like, man, more power to you. I mean, it's awesome. It's awesome.
It's finding.
Christian Rosette says hi, by the way.
Hey, likewise.
Yeah,
likewise. Yeah. And well, I mean,
my office has a joke about you. You know that, right?
They do. What?
Hey, there's an office. You're what is it called? McSteamy or McDreamy? I forget. You're one of those. McSteamy or McDreamy? Yeah. You're a mix from ER.
Yeah, that's from the Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah,
that's awesome. Well,
you're one of them. I don't know which one you are, but you're one of them.
That's cool. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Now what? Did I get banned here from TikTok or something? No, it's still.
Did you get banned?
No, I mean, I keep getting warnings, man. I mean, it's like, I just don't get it. We're giving good material. We're giving education to people. We're giving, things that can change their lives. And it's like, it's disturbing content, whatever. I don't care. I mean, that's what YouTube is for.
What do they blur it out, or what do they do?
No, they just say they diminish the exposure to something, but it's fine dancing with a thong, apparently. Whatever. They don't give a crap anymore about that. So, we've touched.
They didn't like Rosette. They didn't like McSteamy. It was an ER reference. They didn't like.
Who knows? I mean, I don't know what they complain about everything. Let's see. So we've touched about, there was a study that said that there were some like receptors in which the body learns or notices that you've lost weight. It's about the weight lost. Do you recall that one? Because right now that you said the weighted vest, I'm like, okay, if you lost 30 pounds and your body is noticing that, yeah, I understand that moving more weight involves more work, which means more calories. But I had this thing that if you could trick your body going back to think that you've gained that weight by using a vest. And there was a study that I was actually touching about it. Well, what do you think about it? Is it worth a shot? I mean...
Yes. I think it's worth a shot.
So I guess that the important point is if you're going to be using and you're walking and you want to take it up a notch, is get a vest, but don't overdo it because you're going to screw up your back. So maybe a 5-pound vest, 10-pound vest.
Yeah, you can start. Look, if you have not done any exercise,
then no worry.
Right, just start walking. Just start walking. You're going to be fine. If you're getting started with exercise, what you want to do first is tie it to secondary reward, like you talked about. Either get the relaxation, listen to music, do a podcast, make it so you get some sort of secondary reward, right? Because for most people, if you can make it mindful in nature and it de-stresses you, that's your secondary reward. If that's not your thing, listen to a podcast. If that's not your thing, listen to music. Right. Once you're so regular doing that and it feels good, then you could think about scaling your walk. You don't have to, if you enjoy it, people have struggled with scaling walking, and it's true. You're like, okay, well, what do I do now? I'm able to do, I don't want to run, I don't want to jog, I don't want to sweat or whatever. Just put a weighted vest on.
Yeah.
And you can start with 10 pounds. They have ones that are adjustable from 10 to 80 pounds, and start with 10 pounds and see how you feel, and then you can raise it 5 pounds every month, and your body will handle it, especially if you've lost weight. I was carrying 150 pounds before. You don't think I can carry the 80 pounds? No, you just got to get used to it. Your body was used to it before, so I'm in terms of like the weight thermostat, which is your question or whatever. Yeah. I don't know, man. I think it's all like
it's a hypothesis. Yeah, I got you.
It's all a little bullshit, BS, in my opinion. It's like, okay, I have a weight thermostat. Okay, how come I haven't gone above? My lowest weight was about 195 pounds. I haven't really gone above 215. I'm at about 205 right now.
Yeah,
I haven't gone above 215, and I just hover in that range, 195 to 215, 195 to 215.
Yeah, that's a hovering. You're right. So, and for me, what I've noticed also is it depends on what I was trying to accomplish a little bit more, like gaining muscle, and so I started eating more carbs. I was gaining more muscle. But as I'm getting more muscle and I'm working out more, I'm getting hungrier. And then I was not focusing on, I think I was eating more carbs and I started getting weight. And, it's knowing yourself and what you want to accomplish.
Yeah.
I got time for one last subject.
Yeah.
So medications, I think we've got I'm curious about your feeling on which patients you could consider maybe like phentermine or bupropion with naltrexone or blah blah blah. Do you use those medications at all, or you just now jump to the GLPs? For me, what I've noticed is phentermine is something that here they go to Mexico and they get it dirt cheap, even though it's cheap here as well. But then we've got these different combinations of medications. How do you feel about them?
Let's see. Okay, pick one and we'll start with that one. How about that?
Let's go with phentermine, which is the oldest, I think.
Yeah, so phentermine is a stimulant, and you have to be careful in some arrhythmia. It can cause insomnia. At low doses, it can be a mild appetite suppressant. People can lose, 5 to 10 pounds is pretty expected.
Mm-hmm.
I don't use it. I got to be honest, I rarely use it. Maybe in some cases when people don't want to take any other medication. But again, our practice, people coming to us don't want to use medication. So most people don't want to use medications. Where the medications come into play is if they were already going to be doing something. So like if they were on a medication for migraine, like let's say propranolol, I'll be like, well, why don't we try topiramate? You want to lose weight anyway, and they both are migraine prophylaxis.
Yeah.
So instead of propranolol, which causes weight gain, mild weight gain, I'll recommend topiramate. If somebody has depression, rather than giving them an SSRI, which is associated with weight gain, we go with bupropion. The addition of naltrexone is plus or minus for me. I think probably most of it is bupropion in terms of the weight loss.
Because the funny thing here is we've got phentermine. Now, if you want to give phentermine with topiramate, then you get it's Kismia or Quismia or I don't know where.
Yeah.
Just by the combination, the price goes to $350 instead.
No. We just do off label.
That's my point. I mean, it's for the people. So if you get this medication, phentermine, it's going to be dirt cheap. I don't know, $10, I would say, for a month's supply or maybe less. And if you get topiramate, then it's also going to be dirt cheap. But if you get the medication, which I will not say the brand name, and you combine the phentermine with the topiramate, then they can even, you go out and it's ridiculous. I mean, I've seen some of this going up to $1,000. It's like, I just could not believe it. The same thing goes with the naltrexone bupropion combination, which, Contrave. So I think I've never used it though. I've never used Contrave that I can think of. Phentermine I have because the patient's already using it, and but it's quite challenging using phentermine in the cardiology clinic, as you can imagine, since a lot of people have already underlying hypertension and arrhythmias and shit. So it's like
I don't like either one. I mean, the new drugs. I think the new drugs are interesting. It's interesting if you look at the history of how they came to be drugs. So the Gila monster, I looked this up because, I'm sure your listeners are like, tell me about Mounjaro, tell me about Ozempic. I want to know about Mounjaro. I want to know about Wegovy. I want to know about Ozempic, so the Gila monster, how they found this was, of course, this reptile, it has this, the reptile, it eats like 5 to 10 times a year, right? The Gila monster doesn't eat often. You know how like snakes, you feed them one time a week? Mm-hmm. This thing eats about 10 times a year, once a month, and it eats, something whole, right? It eats like the eggs whole, it eats the rodents whole or whatever. And it's a carnivorous lizard. And it has like saliva, venom, right, that paralyzes the prey, but then it releases xanthide 4, which helps it not get diabetes as it's digesting an insane amount of food. And it makes it not hungry. So it's literally the hormone that's released, and this hormone is only released when the Gila monster chews. So when it chews, the saliva releases it, and it's the hormone, it goes to its brain and says, don't eat anymore, right? Don't eat for the next month. And then over the next month, it like digests this food, and it stores it in a big fatty tail. It stores water and fat in its tail. So this is the hormone we're using. We're using the hormone of a binge-eating lizard, right? That's what we're doing. It's a binge eating lizard, and we're using its hormone, and it's a good drug, honestly. If you look at it comparatively to the diabetes drugs that we've had,
Yeah.
So if you compare, and even the drugs that make you pee out sugar, the SGLT2s, these are good. Yeah, they're good drugs, man. They're good drugs compared to the drugs we've had. So do we use them? Yes, we use them. But if I had to guesstimate a 20% less, or maybe 10% even, or less rate of use, less than 10% of our patients, less than 15% for sure. Maybe definitely less than 20, probably less than 15, definitely less than 10. Maybe less than 10. We also don't really, we refer very few people to bariatric surgery, but we're like ICU level obesity care. Every day somebody's looking at your weight, your blood sugar, your blood pressure, your ketone meter. Everybody's looking at your, daily, we're looking at your continuous glucose monitor. We are texting you in near real time. You're texting us 500 times in 6 months. You're reaching out to us. We're reaching out to you. We're assigning you homework. You're doing the homework. We have ICU level obesity care.
So you're monitoring the patients constantly. Basically.
Constantly, and we dismantle shame and guilt. There is no shame and guilt in our practice, right? Like, we work hard to make it where it's like, we're here to help you. We're not here to make you feel bad because you wanted a cupcake or you wanted a sweet or you want, that's not what we're here for. We're here for you to recover quickly if you go off plan. Yeah. We're here to pick you up when you feel like crap, when you feel like you let yourself down and you're shame and guilty and you didn't want to do that. We're here to help pick you up. So it's a very positive experience. And, we have 5 health coaches. So our need for these drugs is very little, but at the same time, we're dealing with people with lipedema, with, they're 500 pounds, and they can't even walk. So we can't not use them in some cases, and they're probably highly indicated in other cases, in the cases we use. But we also get people off quickly when and if we do use it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, I feel strongly about that. I feel like they're good drugs.
Yeah.
They do have problems. Nausea and vomiting being the biggest, thyroid cancer being the biggest, GI side effects being the biggest, pancreatitis being the biggest. But otherwise, they have a place. And the place that they don't have is a doctor who prescribes it in 7 minutes and lets you go and just take it and you're on your own. That's the place that it shouldn't be. That's my thought. What are your thoughts?
We're in the same boat. One of the things that I hate is when people get this compound shit in their cosmetic Botox spa, for example. No, because it happens. I don't know how but here it's ridiculous. You've got nobodies in TikTok and Instagram basically selling this compound medication, semaglutide or the tirzepatide, and they're talking wonders about it. And I've been telling patients or people in my videos that if you're doing this medication and you just I'll tell you who is doomed. They just fucked up big time. Is all these mostly women that are bragging to other women that they keep eating the same shit, but they've lost 50, 60 pounds. It's like, oh, I didn't do anything else. I just lost the weight. I'm eating the same things, just less. Okay, which mostly translates to you kept eating shit, but now you're eating less of it. You're not exercising. You're not doing weights. You're not eating protein, so you lost a shitload of muscle as well. Your metabolism now went to the crapper. And now that it's 8 months later, now if you try to stop it, you're going to see Satan covering his body with whipped cream and shit. You're just going to, it's going to be hungry as hell, and you're going to basically want to devour absolutely everything, So it's essential that if you're going to be in this medication, I always emphasize, always, it's like, I don't care. If you're going to do this, there's something that you cannot and will not and you should not miss. It's protein. And you need to lift weights. I don't care if it's 5 minutes, if it's 10 minutes. I emphasize that all the time. Like, if I'm going to give you that medication and you're not going to do it, I would be very hesitant to prescribe it. And just like you, I know that many say that this is going to be a chronic thing, a chronic medication. I don't see as chronic all the time. I do believe that in some, we're going to need an intermittent way of prescribing. I also believe that we can do it every 10 days, maybe every 15 days. I also believe in microdosing. I don't know if you use it on yourself. I've used it on myself. I've experimented with this thing. And I've used microdosing. So instead of 0.25, I tried a 0.08 or I've tried a 0.16. Surprisingly, for me, 0.08 is enough to deal with the cravings, which means that you can use this for a longer period of time. And it's 6 months for the cost of whatever, if they're struggling with. But so, and I do this with the patient. Of course, the bigger they are, that microdosing shit is not going to work. But the microdosing can actually help if they actually achieve that weight loss. And sometimes they're struggling. For example, I'll put you, it's not in studies. It's just, for me, common sense. It's going to be Thanksgiving. Hey, you might benefit from a microdosing a couple of days before your Thanksgiving or your holiday, if you already know that you're going to be tempted, because, I do get a lot of patients like that. So it's just having the idea, thinking outside the box once again, and discussing this with patients. Now, I'm not talking about this as an indication, people, so don't misquote me on what I'm saying. Once again, I'm saying I know the patient, and if I prescribe it, I don't want the judgment. I don't want the patient always. I don't want you depending on the medication. But I do consider a possibility in which you might be somebody that might benefit from it every 15 days or reducing the dose, et cetera, et cetera. So completely, I think we're in the same page with that one. So,
look, I've never tried it. I haven't used it myself. We have a lot of clinical experience, especially titrating slowly in settings where people get nauseous, and we know exactly the amount of click it takes.
Yeah, exactly.
But look, I think I think when I use it, I want to use it to its maximum effect generally, and then get people off as quickly as possible. I agree with you. Those tenets of must be exercising, must take protein. Again, I think but that's what our practice does. So that's what we're all about, right? So if we use the med, I know they're in a responsible clinic, right? Like, we are ICU level care obesity management, right? We are like that. We are the most
now that you mentioned
most aggressive.
So I think it's a great way to end the episode. So tell us what you do, where they can find you, because a lot of people hear that, it doesn't mean, I'm assuming that it's mostly English, right? It's not like they're going to be, so for Hispanics, it's going to be me or somebody else. But if you speak English, basically tell us about your Dr. Tro, your obesity ICU type monitoring and program.
Well, you know what, man? I've been saying this for a long time. Tro and Assad got to get together. Tro. So we got to do that. I know we talked about it. But what we do, we are a different type of clinic. So everybody in our clinic, all our 4 health coaches, have been through a weight journey. Every single employee in our company understands metabolic health. Our coaches combined and myself, we're talking about almost, 600 pounds lost and maintained, right? In our office staff, right? So we're a team of 15 now, and we do nationwide, very intensive metabolic management. We have biometric scales in your home. We have blood pressure cuffs in your home. We have continuous glucose monitors on you. We have ketone meters that link up all to our offices. We can send you Holter monitors, sleep studies. We get imaging wherever you are in the country. We get, blood work done wherever you are in the country. And now we can even send blood work to your home. So you could literally be in your home and get full comprehensive care. And it's effective. We have an app. It's a free app called the Toward Health app. And it is being translated to Spanish. So that's pending. We're almost done with that, but it's called Toward Health, TOWARD Health. And we have 12,000 people on the app. It's free. We have a free podcast. And you can go and get help right now for free. You don't need me. You don't need the expensive version of me. If you want the expensive version of me, you call my office, or you go visit our website, drtro.com, doctortro.com. But we have a full curriculum on our app. We have free courses on our app. We have a free course starting September 4th that you can register for, Introduction to Low Carb. It's a 4-week course live. You can ask questions. It's one doctor and a health coach presenting.
It's free, you said?
Fasting. Free. App is free, course is free.
And it's in the app?
Yeah, it's in the app.
Here, people are seeing it. Here's the app. I mean, you're not seeing it, but the listeners, the viewers are seeing it. There you go. Toward Health. I mean, that's a nice gift for you people. So
yeah, it's completely free. The app is free. If the course that's happening, we have a 4-week course that happens September 4th. That's just getting started with low carb. Then we have a 4-week course, also free, on fasting. Nice. That's led by 2 of our health coaches. Okay. Now, if along the way you love what we do and you're like, man, I really want to throw a little bit of money at these people because they do great work, you can get premium access to our app, and we get a whole bunch of other shit. You can learn about CACs, you can learn about diabetes. We have full curriculums on it, and Spanish is coming. So we're working on it, Christian. We're working on it. So that's me, man. And I'm part of the board of directors at the Society of Metabolic Health Practitioners. We have a journal called the Journal of Metabolic Health. So if you're a doctor, a PA, an NP who sees an interesting case, please submit your work to the Journal of Metabolic Health. We need your submission. We have a great editorial team there. And the board, the SMHP board, is just awesome. And, we're releasing position statements. I just submitted a position statement on type 1, a consensus statement from 15 docs that low-carb diet should not be withheld in patients with type 1 diabetes, completely supported and evidence-based. So that'll come out soon. I'm hustling, Christian, on every single possible way. And if you're out there and you're struggling with your cravings, my full shout out, and this is also a disclosure, there's a conflict of interest. My wife owns a nutrition company called Rosette's Mixes. So she sells almond flour mixes. So it's made with almond flour and sweetener. If you need something that's low carb and you need a bagel or need a cookie, she's got that. So that's everything I'm doing, man. I'm hustling on every side.
Yeah. So for those of you that are craving like cookies or muffins or, stuff like that you can do low carb with almond flour. She has, is it Amazon, or they go directly to her?
Directly to her site. Yeah. Rosette's Mix. She's also awesome, man. She's, got it. Can I just tell you, Christian,
go ahead.
You know what it's like. You work in a hospital. You know the salary we get as a hospital doctor, right?
Yeah.
I left all that, man. I left all that, 7 or 8 years ago, and I'm working on half the salary, right? I was making back then. And, people look at me, they're like, Tro, you have an app. Tro, you have this huge practice nationwide. Tro, your wife has a company. And it's like, no, we need your help. We need people's help. It's not like I'm rolling the dough here, people look at me and they think maybe that I have my act together, but, it's not all that, we need support. Let's just put it that way. We appreciate the support.
Well, hopefully with this, hey, I'll put your in my network all these things, because I see people constantly looking for things that can help them deal with cravings and stuff. So definitely, I'll put that there. If you want to give them a coupon or something, I'm not. Something that
my wife. That's my wife.
You can tell her, but I would be sharing it with all my subscribers and stuff that I have. So
I'll have her to help. I'll have her text you. But the bottom line is, we like, you know me, Christian, you know my character at this point. We ran our podcast for 6 years. We never took one commercial, not one advertisement, not one commercial. We threw down probably $100,000 worth of people because we didn't want conflict.
Yeah.
So it's been, the Toward Health app, it's free. I want to keep it free because I want to reach people. So we're trying to still be of service, and not be too gimmicky or selling.
Gotcha.
Anyway, now nationwide. Oh, I should say, we also do nationwide CGMs, nationwide sleep studies, nationwide ambulatory blood pressure monitor, by the way.
Damn.
So, yeah, man.
Well, so there you have it. You can find him in Dr. Tro. It's easy as that, drtro.com, and you can learn about all of the things that he's offering. You have the app called Toward Health. It's there in your iOS, and it's mostly for the English-speaking people, but who knows? Maybe I can help them out with some Spanish in the future.
Yeah, we're working on it, man. We're getting close. My ADHD is kicking away, but we're not far. We translated everything.
Good.
We just need the time to execute, We need the time to load it up and get it up there.
Well, any information, any things, when you have those things, just send them to me so I can share with my people that they can benefit from it, and we'll take it from there. All right.
En el podcast Sin Pelos en la Lengua, temas médicos sin medias tintas, no apto para mazapanes, ni débiles, ni para brutos que se sienten finos. Sin pelos en el cactus hablan claro, sin miedo de herir susceptibilidades. No es para los que se ofenden fácil, solo para los que buscan verdades. Sin pelos en el cactus, sin filtro al hablar, dan consejos médicos que hacen pensar. Al que no le guste, que cambie canal. Aquí la verdad siempre es natural. Desde el estudio, todo muy directo. No hay espacio para el incorrecto. Si eres fuerte y buscas la verdad, aquí hay respuestas sin más carnaval. Mazapán se derrite por noticias, bruto se molesta por las críticas. Pero en este show, sin pelos en la lengua, hablan claro, sin paños, tiros ni tregua. Sin pelos en el cactus, sin filtro al hablar, dan consejos médicos que hacen pensar. Al que no le guste, que cambie canal. Aquí la verdad siempre es natural. mazapán se derrite por noticias. Bruto se molesta por las críticas. Pero en este show sin pelos en la lengua, hablan claro, sin paños tibios ni tregua. Sin pelos en el cactus, sin filtro al hablar. Dan consejos médicos que hacen pensar. Al que no le guste, que cambie canal. Aquí la verdad siempre es natural. Aquí la verdad siempre es natural.